Hello students, welcome to Bridge Academy Grade 9 Biology Unit 3 Tutorials Lesson 14, Types of Cells, Prokaryotic and Eukaryotic Cells. Introduction. Cells are the fundamental units of life, forming the basis of all living organisms. Based on their structure and organization, cells are classified into two main types, prokaryotic and eukaryotic cells. Prokaryotic cells are small. Eukaryotic cells are larger and more complex, supporting diverse functions in organisms. This lesson will explore the structure and function of prokaryotic and eukaryotic cells. The term prokaryotic comes from the Greek words pro before and karyon nucleus, meaning before nucleus, as these cells lack a true nucleus. The term eukaryotic derives from the Greek words eutrou and karyon nucleus, meaning true nucleus, reflecting their defined nuclear structure. The word prokaryotic was first introduced in the 1960s by scientists like Roger Stanier and C.B. Van Niel to describe cells without a nucleus. Prokaryotic cells are small and have a straightforward structure. They typically measure 1 to 10 micrometers in size, making them much smaller than eukaryotic cells. Prokaryotic cells are small, simple, and believed to be the first cells to evolve. They lack a membrane-bound nucleus, so their genetic material, such as DNA, floats freely in the cytoplasm, often in a region called the nucleoid. They also lack membrane-bound organelles, which simplifies their internal structure. Most prokaryotic cells, like bacteria and archaea, have a cell wall surrounding the cell membrane. The cell wall is a rigid layer made of proteins and sugars, such as peptidoglycan in bacteria. This wall provides shape, protects the cell from external damage, and prevents dehydration. Some prokaryotic cells have an additional outer layer called a capsule, which offers extra protection against harsh conditions or immune attacks. Most prokaryotic organisms are unicellular, meaning they consist of a single cell. The function of prokaryotic cells is to carry out essential life processes. They take in nutrients from their environment, produce energy through processes like respiration or fermentation, and reproduce by binary fission, where one cell divides into two identical cells. For example, bacteria can break down sugars to generate energy or produce toxins to defend against threats. Their simple design allows them to thrive in diverse environments, such as soil, water, extreme heat, or even inside other organisms. Some prokaryotes have flagella, whip-like structures that enable movement, helping them swim toward food or away from danger. Eukaryotic cells are larger and more complex than prokaryotic cells, typically ranging from 10 to 100 micrometers in size. The term eukaryotic was also coined in the 1960s to distinguish cells with a true nucleus. Eukaryotic cells have a nucleus, a membrane-bound structure that houses their DNA, keeping it organized and protected. They also contain other membrane-bound organelles, each with a specific structure and function. For instance, mitochondria are oval-shaped organelles with inner folds called crista, and they produce energy through cellular respiration. The endoplasmic reticulum is a network of membranes that synthesizes proteins and lipids. The Golgi apparatus, a stack of flattened membranes, modifies and packages proteins for transport. Eukaryotic cells may have a cell wall, as seen in plant cells, which is made of cellulose, but animal cells typically lack this structure. Most eukaryotic organisms, such as plants, animals, and fungi, are multicellular, meaning they are composed of many cells that work together. However, some eukaryotes, like yeast or amoebas, are unicellular. The function of eukaryotic cells is to perform specialized tasks that support complex organisms. In animals, muscle cells contract to enable movement, while nerve cells transmit signals for communication. In plants, leaf cells contain chloroplasts, which use sunlight to produce food through photosynthesis. Organelles allow eukaryotic cells to divide tasks efficiently, making them ideal for multicellular life. For example, the nucleus regulates cell activities by controlling gene expression, while lysosomes break down waste materials. Eukaryotic cells may also have cilia or flagella, which are used for movement or to move substances across their surface. For instance, cilia in the human lungs sweep mucus and debris out of the airways, keeping them clear. Eukaryotic cells have membrane-bound organelles, for example, nucleus, endoplasmic reticulum, while prokaryotic cells do not. Eukaryotes have large 8-OS ribosomes, whereas prokaryotes have small 7-OS ribosomes. Eukaryotic DNA forms long, protein-associated strands, while prokaryotic DNA is circular, often with plasmids. Cell walls are present in plant eukaryotes cellulose and absent in animal cells, but always present in prokaryotes peptidoglycan. Cilia and flagella are sometimes present in eukaryotes, while prokaryotes may have flagella with a different structure. Summary: prokaryotic and eukaryotic cells are the two primary types of cells, each with distinct characteristics. They have a cell wall for protection and perform basic functions like nutrient uptake and reproduction. Most prokaryotes, like bacteria, are unicellular and adapt to diverse environments. The term eukaryotic, meaning true nucleus, refers to larger cells with a nucleus and organelles like mitochondria, endoplasmic reticulum, and chloroplasts. They perform specialized tasks, such as movement, communication, or photosynthesis, and are typically part of multicellular organisms like plants and animals, though some, like yeast, are unicellular. Both cell types, named in the 1960s, are vital for life, with prokaryotes excelling in simplicity and adaptability and eukaryotes enabling complex, multicellular life. Understanding their structures and functions provides insight into the diversity of living organisms. Review questions and answers. Question 1. What is the origin of the term prokaryotic? Answer. The term prokaryotic comes from the Greek words pro before and karyon nucleus, meaning before nucleus, because these cells lack a true nucleus. Question 2. What is a key structural difference between prokaryotic and eukaryotic cells? Answer. Prokaryotic cells lack a nucleus and membrane-bound organelles, while eukaryotic cells have a nucleus and membrane-bound organelles like mitochondria. Question 3. What is the function of the cell wall in prokaryotic cells? Answer. The cell wall in prokaryotic cells provides shape, protects the cell from damage, and prevents dehydration. Question 4. What is one specialized function of eukaryotic cells in plants? Answer. In plants, eukaryotic cells like leaf cells contain chloroplasts that make food through photosynthesis. Question 5. When were the terms prokaryotic and eukaryotic first used, and by whom? Answer. The terms prokaryotic and eukaryotic were first used in the 1960s by scientists like Roger Stanier and C.B. Van Niel to describe cells without and with a true nucleus, respectively. Like, share, and subscribe for more videos.